What is up, all of you awesome and amazing people on YouTube? The Old Coot here, coming at you with another exciting video. If you've been following along in this video series of how to clean burnt on, caked on stuff at the bottom of like a pot or a pan, we're at video, what is this now? Number 3, 3.2, 2.8, whatever it is. This is the next video. Basically what happened was my roommate tried to make Jello pudding inside of this pot. This is a 3-quart saucepan, and they burned it. Basically, they didn't know that they had to like take this off the heat, put the milk into a bowl, and then mix it with the pudding mix or whatever. Instead, they tried to do it in this pot and tried to cook it in this pot, and basically they just burned the whole bottom. So anyways, what I did to get to this point was my roommate had washed it with some Dawn dish soap and some water. Obviously, didn't make a dent. It was still burnt on, crusted on. So then what I did was I took over, kind of rinsed out the pot and whatever as much as I could. Then using a gentle cleaning method, right? We're talking 1 part Dawn dish soap, 1 tablespoon, let's say, of Dawn dish soap, 2 parts ketchup. Doesn't matter what kind of ketchup you use, but the stronger tasting the ketchup, the better it's going to work. And then 1 part vinegar. And the same thing, you could use white vinegar, you could use distilled vinegar, you could use whatever. But I noticed that the stronger the taste, like when you actually taste the vinegar, the better it works. So red wine vinegar is what I used in here. If you can find that old school Italian red wine vinegar that comes in like the glass jug, even better. That's the strongest stuff that I've found anyways. So what I did was I mixed up a little bit of each, right? So 1 tablespoon of soap, 2 tablespoons of ketchup, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, put it all in the bottom of this pot, just barely enough to create like a little thin paste, right? Or film to cover the bottom of the pot. And let this sit. And the important thing is time is on your side. So the longer you let this sit, the more effectively it's going to work. There's no need to speed up the process or try to rush it in any way. You do not have to put this back on like your stove. You don't have to leave this in the sun. Don't put it in the refrigerator. Just room temperature, right? 65 degrees to 75 degrees, 80 degrees, or whatever. Just let it sit out on your countertop and you'll be fine. So now what I want to do is after it's been 3 hours now, 3 to 4 hours since my last video. What I want to do is just go in there and just do like a test to see if any of this brown caked on stuff in there has made a budging motion, or at least let's see if it wants to move or whatever. But as you can see, that's my slurry. Let's call it a slurry or like a paste of soap, ketchup, and vinegar. Let's see if any of this stuff moves. And another tip or trick is do not use baking soda, because the acidity of the vinegar, right, that's in the vinegar and also in the ketchup will mix or have a chemical reaction with the alkalinity of the baking soda, and they will neutralize each other, basically rendering this concoction ineffective or inert, right? You're going to be left with something that isn't going to work. So no baking soda. You do not need baking soda. It's just the acidity of the vinegar and the ketchup with the help of the soap that's going to help to dissolve those caked on bits. So using the rougher, right, more firmer side of the scrubbing brush, right, the top part, the white part, is kind of like medium bristles. And then this lower part right here, this gray part, as you can see, is basically the firmer ones. So let's go in there. Let's just give it a little scrape and see what happens. And there you go. Some of it... Let's see if some of it wants to come out. Sometimes it comes out really quick and sometimes it doesn't. So this is obviously a more burnt on, caked on situation where I want to let this sit even longer. Let's try this little piece down here. And if you've burnt anything in the bottom of a pan, eggs, like this stuff works great with eggs. And especially if you have a stainless steel pot or pan, does it even better. What you want to avoid is do not use this recipe on a wok or a carbon steel pan unless you want to remove all the seasoning. If that's your goal, is to strip the pan clean back down to bare metal, then you can use this. But the acidity from the vinegar, the tomatoes, right, and the ketchup will literally strip any seasoning you had on your carbon steel or wok or, any kind of seasoned pan. You get the idea. But here in this stainless steel situation, as this pot is, right now, as you can see, it hasn't really made that much of a difference. I mean, I see like little bits and pieces coming up, but it's not like one wipe and it's clean. To get that effect, I'm going to have to let this sit longer, another, let's say 6 hours. So my 3-hour test has basically revealed to me that this needs a lot more time, and there's nothing else I want to add to this. There's nothing else I want to do to this. What I want to do is I just want to like smooth it back out again, right? So it has that layer, and just let it go another 6 hours. So I'll be back again in about 6 hours, give or take, to do an update. But for now, I am making slow progress. I mean, it's definitely better than what it was. This pot, if you remember in the first video, was literally coated. The entire bottom was just black. It was just a sea of black, burnt on, caked on stuff. So what I'm going to do is just gentle motion here. I just want to make sure that I'm getting all of this ketchup, soap, and vinegar mix deeper into that burnt charred area, right? And as you can see, I'm barely holding the utensil here, the scrubber, right? I'm not doing any aggressive motion. Some people will comment in the comment section, yeah, just take a die grinder to it, or take a sanding wheel, whatever. You could do that, but all you're doing is you're stripping off the bad burnt part, but you're also stripping off more of the metal, which is making it thinner and thinner and thinner, right? And if you keep stripping down your metal, eventually your pot's gonna, you know what's gonna happen, and then you're just gonna get more burns, and it's just, you might get a hole, and then it's gonna be a disaster. So just all you're trying to do here is basically clean up some of this black caked on burnt part. And as you can see, it just needs a little more time. Eventually what will happen is through osmosis and the chemical reaction of the acidity hitting that black charred part, eventually the whole pot should look like as clean as that part right there, and less like this charred part right here. But anyways, you get the idea. Just gentle motion. Like I said, all I want to do basically is just kind of go around, swirling motion, very light, literally with 2 fingers I'm holding this thing, and just kind of go around, move it around. And then what I'll eventually do is I'll eventually work the pot or whatever, or the pan, and just kind of smooth this out to make another layer. Let it sit for another 6 hours, and then we'll check back in 6 hours. Anyways, if you like what you're seeing, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button down there below. There's some links to some cool products down in the description section. And if you have any comments or questions, put them in the comment section. I do not use any harsh chemicals anymore. No, I do not use Barkeeper's Friend. I do not use Ajax or bleach or any of that stuff. Because remember, I got to eat out of this pot, right? I got to cook in here again and eat out of this thing. So the last thing I want to do is put hard chemicals in there that are going to probably destroy the pot, but also you might get some residue in there no matter how much you wash of that until you use it and cook the next time. So that's why I just want to use something that's a more gentler cleaning agent or solution, like the Dawn dish soap, right? Ketchup, Heinz, Hunt's, whatever you want to use, and vinegar, red wine vinegar, and just let this do its thing. And time is on my side. So another 6 hours, I'll be back with the next video. Anyways, hit that like button, subscribe button, catch you on the next video.